Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
Hey guys, this is Stephen Hooley, and in this episode, I want to go through the topic of failure. The reason I want to go through this topic is failure is a really hard thing for a lot of people to face, and a lot of people don't deal with failure well. They don't deal with a lot of things well, but we're going to stick to failure. So, failure is an interesting thing because a lot of people fear it, and fear is a very powerful emotion that you carry, right? Fear is something that really grips you and grabs a hold of you, and if you're not careful, it can manifest itself into sadness and depression. It can manifest itself into anxiety, and anxiety can get bad. I've struggled with anxiety, intense anxiety in the past, and fear is something that it just starts because of how you allow yourself to think. If we're being very simple, general, and basic, right? I understand that fear is a complex thing, but if we're being very general and basic here, fear starts with the way you think. If you allow yourself to think down a negative path, then you're going to start thinking thoughts that will turn into fear and maybe into other things, right? But fear of failure is something that I would like to try to help you work through because it will definitely help you carry through whatever journey you're in, whether you're trying to go to school, whether you're trying to work a job, whether you're trying to start a business, whether you're trying to learn a language, whether you're trying to create a really good connection with a friend or a family member, or maybe you're trying to get into a marriage or become a homeowner, whatever it is. I've done a lot, right? At my age, who I am today, I've owned a home. I've rented multiple properties at the same time. I have had a tech career. I've had several different businesses. I've been married. I have kids. I've paid taxes. The list goes on, right? I've done a lot of things. I've had legal trouble, lawsuits, kind of stuff. I've just done a lot, and I'm relatively young. I'm 25, so for my age, I've done more than people 3 times my age. It's some people 3 times my age. I've done more than definitely a lot of people twice my age, right? And a lot of it, and the reason I say this is a lot of it comes down to my willingness to step through fear, okay? Step through the fear and really conquer my fears. And that's not an easy thing, but I want to teach you how I do it in hopes that it can help you, because I can tell you if you can conquer your fears or step through them or just work through them, it's going to help you get through whatever you want and accomplish whatever you want in life, seriously. I remember in, I think it was 2015, I bought a home. And I was terrified. I was terrified that I was going to get the wrong interest rate. I was terrified that I was going to get screwed over somehow. I was terrified that it was a mistake. I was terrified of a lot of things. I had fear. And all of those were fear of failing as becoming a homeowner. And when you talk about it like this, it kind of sounds almost a little silly, but to me, it was not silly at the time, believe me. I was afraid of failing and getting wrapped up in something that wasn't going to be good, and buying a home shouldn't be like that. But that was a fear for me. And what I did to conquer that fear is I went to people in my life who had already bought a home, and I asked them questions, and I got what I needed to know so that I could step into that fear with knowledge and with a little bit of power and be able to push through that, and I did. Now, that's on the smaller scale for me. I've been through intense things, like intense lawsuits. I've been through extortion. I've had people who were I considered very close to me, take advantage of me, do some bad things to me. And that was a lot of fear for me. That was really hard for me. And I spent many months trying to get through that, trying to figure out, okay, I'm afraid if I leave this situation, things could be really bad. If I stay in this situation, things could be really bad. And ultimately, what got me through it was I went and sought out someone's advice. I went and found somebody. I I had a decent relationship with, and I went and got their advice, and it turned out to be one of the most huge blessings in my life, and I'm so grateful for it because it got me out of that particular situation. It got me out of that fear, and I was so afraid to fail. I was so afraid that I was going to fail because what I was in was a business venture with some very close friends that were taking advantage of me. And I was afraid that if I stepped out of that, I would lose my business venture. I had money, a lot of money wrapped into that. I had life wrapped into that. I had taken a lot of different measures to step into that situation. So I was afraid of failing at that. And it was a good thing that I did, quote, fail at that. Right? I stepped through that fear of failing, and it was a good thing because it turned out to be so much better for me on the other end. And that's something I think we lose sight of when we're afraid of failing, when we've got failure on the mind, is maybe on the other side of that failure, it's actually a blessing. It's actually not so bad. You just need to evaluate that. And sometimes really what it takes is saying, okay, I'm terrified of this. I'm terrified of failing. That failure looks so intense to me. But I'm going to step through this. I'm going to step through the fear. I'm going to step into the failure, and I'm going to see what happens. Because a lot of the time, what you don't realize is while you're in this space where you could fail or you're about to fail, you can sometimes actually stop the failure and pivot. But if you don't get to that point, it's almost like approaching the edge of the cliff. If you don't get to that point, you can't see how far down that cliff really goes. It could look like that cliff is gonna kill you if you jump off or if you go off, and like there's no way you can survive it. But actually what you could find is it's actually not as high. There's some water to catch your fall, and you can survive that, and you're gonna be okay, and maybe it's a blessing, right? We have to step out of the fear. We have to step out of the negative emotions, and we have to step into this failure space that we're so afraid to get to and actually evaluate it, step into it. Because if not, you can have a lot of anxiety around that fear. You can spend months missing calls, birthdays, opportunities, screwing up your life, living in anxiety, shortening your lifespan, deteriorating your health if you don't do this. And at the end of the day, I can tell you, conquering your fears feels so powerful because what you're really doing, and this is one of the biggest things I want you to take away from this, you're learning lessons. I don't actually believe in failure. Okay? I want you to really hear that. I don't actually believe in failure. I believe that failure is not really failure, it's a lesson I learned. Now, you can learn some big lessons, and please believe me when I say I have learned some big lessons, some really big lessons, and some costly lessons. In both time, energy, money, relationships in my life, I have learned lessons. I have, quote, failed. But having the mindset that I learned lessons helped push me through those failures and on to the next. And I would like to say that I have a pretty good life. I have a nice home. I have multiple properties that I have access to. I have a place in Beverly Hills I can go to, and it's right next to Rodeo Drive, which is freaking amazing. It's beautiful. Beverly Hills is beautiful. My home in Utah is beautiful, and I own another home in Utah, which I actually rent to family members at this current time because I want to help my family. In another episode, I talk about my why and family legacy and things like that. But I stepped into all these fears in the legal battles. I had to step into the fears and the failures, and in areas I've had to fail to get where I am. So if you think about it, success is on the other side of failure a lot of the time. So if you never go into that failure, you're never going to reach the success you want, the goals you want. The goals you want to achieve are often on the other side of failure, okay? Please, repeat that in your head. The goals you want to achieve are often on the other side of failure. But what you really need to remember is it's really not failure, it's lessons. So the goals you need are on the other side of your lessons. So I really hope this helps because this is a really, really important thing that you need to learn. You're trying to learn language, you're trying to get your degree in school or maybe multiple degrees in school, you're trying to start a business, you're trying to work and get promoted at a job, you're trying to build something, whatever it is you're trying to do, go to trade school, whatever you're trying to do, you need to learn to push through failures. You need to learn to conquer your fears, conquer your failures, treat them as lessons, and it will help you I don't want to make any guarantees, but I can tell you from experience it will help you. So thank you for watching this video, and we'll catch you in the next episode.